Hi everyone, welcome back to DGMZ for a new weekend episode. For all the viewers who are coming back, we are very glad you can join us again. And for the new viewers, we are equally happy and delighted to have you here. As always, my recommendation to the new viewers is do access the introduction episode because that gives you a good insight into the background and the motivation behind this podcast. If you like the content, I request you to click like, and if you want to be notified when the new episodes are posted, do click subscribe. And lastly, if you know a fellow Ghalib fan or someone who would enjoy this content, I would request you to share it via social media. All this only and only if you want to. Now, before I get into the Ghazal, I did want to clarify something. When I was doing my research online, I found versions of this Ghazal with 5 or 6 couplets. I own more than one versions of Divan-e-Ghalib from different authors. And all the versions I own have only 3 couplets. So just to maintain consistency in terms of the divans I'm referring to, I will get into the 3 couplets I see in all the divans I own, and all of them have just 3 couplets. If you are aware of the additional couplets, I do apologize in advance for not covering them, but I just think that this way I will stay true to the divans I'm referring to, and that would be nice. One thing more to keep in mind with this ghazal is this is where we will really enjoy one of Ghalib's unique qualities, the quality of creating these labyrinths, mazes, complexes of words in his ghazals. This ghazal specifically has some huge word complexes and huge word labyrinths. Uh, Almost the whole sentence is but just a word or 2 words, wherein that one word is 4 or 5 words jam packed into it through connectors. So it's very interesting. Don't be surprised if we land up with 10, 20 meanings out of technically 2 words of a single sentence because he has packed in a lot of words and created these word complexes. Okay, so let's begin by reading the 3 couplets. मतलब अर्ज किया है, शुमार-ए-सुबहा marghub-e-but-e-mushkil pasand aaya. शुमार-ए-सुबहा marghub-e-but-e-mushkil-pasand aaya. tamasha-e-ba-yak-kaf burdan-e-sad-dil-pasand aaya. ba-faiz-e-be-dili naumidi-e-javed aasan hai. ba-faiz-e-be-dili naumidi-e-javed aasan hai. kushayish ko hamara uqda-e-mushkil-pasand aaya. And the last couplet, hawa-e-sair-e-gul aaina-e-be-mehri-e-qatil. hawa-e-sair-e-gul aaina-e-be-mehri-e-qatil ki andaz-e-ba-khun galtidan-e-bismil pasand aaya. Okay. So let's get into the first couplet. Shumar-e-subha marghub-e-but-e-mushkil-pasand aaya. So Ghalib is saying that I am seeing my beloved enjoy the act of rotating her prayer beads. Subaha is prayer beads. And the second line is tamasha-e-ba-yak-kaf, burdan-e-sad-dil-pasand aaya. And then Ghalib says, I am enjoying her hold 100 hearts in her palm. So, briefly and at a very high level, that is how it literally translates. But let's get into the impressions of it. So, the first line itself is packed with a lot. So let's break it bit by bit because that's the only way to do it with these word complexes. So Shumar-e-subha. Shumar is the counting of something. So and subha is the prayer beads. And when I was reading this, it made me wonder, why did Ghalib choose this act of counting prayer beads as an example? So I did some research to find more about this, and what I found out was that using prayer beads is a tradition, a ritual, a practice that is followed through many religions. And in all religions, it is a very holy, sanctified act of devotion and meditation. So, for example, in Buddhism, a Buddhist mala typically consists of 108 beads, one for each 6 of the delusions, which are the so-called worries that afflict human life. Delusion via the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, or the mind. And then each of these delusions in turn are perceived in the 3 tenses, past, present, and future. So that makes it 6 into 3, 18 possibilities. And then you multiply these by 2 conditions of the heart, pure and impure. And then again by 3 possible sentiments with regard to any of those objects. The 3 sentiments are like, dislike, and indifference. So ultimately you come up with 6 into 3 into 2 into 3, which is 108. And hence the Buddhist mala typically has 108 beads. It was fascinating to see the detail that goes into these prayer beads. Now in Christianity, the most common rosary is the one devoted to Mary and called the Rosary of the Blessed Virgin, the prayers of which are recited with the aid of a chaplet or rosary. Now, the beads of the rosary are arranged in 5 decades, set of 10, and each decade separated from the next by a larger bead. The 2 ends of the chaplet are joined by a small string holding a crucifix, 2 large beads, and 3 small beads. Moving on to Hinduism. Now, in Hinduism, we have the Jap Mala, which is used to direct and count the recitation of mantras during meditation. This also, very interestingly, contains 108 beads strung in a circle to represent the cyclical nature of life. And this necklace or japmala may also feature a larger guru or bindu bead that marks the start and end of the strand. And now, finally, coming to Islam. And that is what the context here is in this couplet, right? So, in Islam, the prayer beads are used as a tool by which Muslims perform the dhikr or pronouncements in remembrance of Allah as instructed by the Holy Quran. The subaha, the exact object that is mentioned in this couplet, it is usually a loop of 99 beads divided into clusters of 33 with shorter string of 10 beads to keep track of multiples. It has a tasseled rope that marks the start and end of the 99 bead chain. The activity of rotating these beads in the subaha is known as tasbih or tasbiha. And usually the subaha is used by Muslims to help count recitations and concentrate during personal prayers. The worshipper touches one bead at a time while reciting words of dhikr. These recitations are often of the 99 names of Allah or of the phrases that glorify and praise Allah. These phrases are most often repeated as follows: Subhanallah, which means glory to Allah, 33 times. Alhamdulillah, praise to be Allah, 33 times. And then Allahu Akbar, Allah is great, 33 times. So, with that background, one can appreciate the sanctity, the seriousness, the gravitas in this activity of rotating subaha. And Ghalib is saying that Shumar-e-subha, counting of the subaha by my beloved. Now he goes on to say, marghub-e-but-e-mushkil-pasand aaya. Marghub-e-but. So, but is also something that we need to unpack a little to understand the wider context of what Ghalib is trying to say here. So, but literal translation is idol. And idol worship is banned in Islam. It is called but-parasti, idol worshipping, and it is not allowed. It is a sin. And usually in Urdu poetry, the poets tend to call their beloved as but, an idol. And the thought behind it is that we are followers of Islam, where we worship only one God, and here comes somebody in our life that we fall in love with, and this love increases to an extent where it is bordering on worship, reverence, almost as if this beloved is all that exists, all that matters. Everything is about her. My joys are tied to her, my sorrows are tied to her, my prayers are tied to her, my dreams are tied to her. She's my all in all, to such an extent that um, I'm almost giving her the reverence, the faith, the worshipping that is only meant to be done to the Almighty God. So, Urdu poets very frequently call their beloved but, an idol, to emphasize this fact. Um, and there are two sides to it. So one side is the extent of love and devotion they have for their beloved. So when they call her an idol, it clearly shows their devotion and love for her. And of course, on the second hand, in parallel, it shows a kind of sin. uh, they indulging or almost bordering on indulging in an activity which is not allowed. You cannot, per Islam, you cannot have this kind of devotion or worship or love or faith for anyone but the Almighty God. So, in the first line, on one hand, he's showing his beloved doing this religious practice of counting prayer beads in her subaha. He follows that by calling her but, emphasizing the fact that thanks to her, Ghalib is on the edge of almost idol worshipping. Ghalib has moved away from the regular traditions and requirements of his religion. And then he says that this idol, this idol of mine who enjoys a tough one, right? Who enjoys difficulties, who revels in difficulties. This idol of mine is somehow seeming to enjoy this activity of rotating subaha, the prayer beads. Now, thanks to all the context we went into about prayer beads, it's not something you're supposed to enjoy. It is something that you meditate with. There is a huge, intense focus involved in it. There is there is a there is a certain reverence to it. You are one with God while you're doing it, or at least trying to be one with God while doing it, reciting prayers, chanting prayers. And here Ghalib is saying that this idol of a beloved of mine seems to be enjoying doing this activity. And in the second line, he explains why he thinks so. Tamasha-e-ba-yak-kaf, this game that I see in the palm of her hand. Burdan-e-sad-dil-pasand aaya, collecting and holding 100 hearts in the palm of her hand. I see her play this game of holding 100 hearts in the palm of her hand. So basically, Ghalib is trying to say that something that looks very religious and pure and pious on the surface, when she's doing it, is not that pious or pure. What actually is happening is this beloved of mine, while she is rotating her prayer beads, is thinking that these beads are actually hearts. of her lovers, which she is counting one by one. And the fact that all these hearts are in one palm of her hand is just making her happy. It's a game for her, a game of holding 100 hearts in one palm of her hand. And of course, 100 hearts because the subaha is supposed to have 100 beats, 99 plus 1. So it's amazing how Ghalib chose one of the most divine, most uh, personal activities from the faith of Islam, right? And contrasted it with almost almost a cruel act with reference to his beloved. Because according to Ghalib, she's not praying or meditating or doing tasbih. What she's actually doing is thinking that each bead is the heart of a lover whom she has conquered one way or the other, and almost gloating and enjoying this game of counting these hearts and in at the same time holding all of them in the small of her hand, in the palm of her hand. Moving on to the next one. ba-faiz-e-be-dili naumidi-e-javed aasan hai, kushayish ko hamara uqda-e-mushkil-pasand aaya. So here also Ghalib is very interestingly capturing the fact that being in love, falling in love, has taught him many a things. Many a thing. And of course, Ghalib's love is most of the time unrequited love. So when Ghalib talks about love, he is primarily focusing on the disappointment and the disillusionment and the grief and the pain associated with love. And he says that being in love has given me great practice. I've learned on the job. Being in love has given me great practice in how to handle disappointments and sorrows and grief and pain. And this has become a blessing. This has become a blessing for me because now, when life throws at me grief and sorrow and pain, it's a damn easy task to handle that. So, by extension, he's saying there are no sorrows bigger than that of love. There are no pains bigger than that of love. There are no griefs bigger than that of love. And for a person like me, who has experienced all the pains and the griefs and the sorrows of love, frankly, life really cannot throw anything at me that would shake me. Life can throw anything at me and it would be easy because I have been in love. And in the second line, he says, kushayish ko hamara uqda-e-mushkil-pasand aaya. Again, a beautiful play of words. So it will sound funny, but this is what it means. The solution loves the problem. So the solution has fallen in love with the problem. And what is the problem? My life. The knot my life has created. This knot is very convoluted, it is very complicated, it is very intricate, and there is so much in it that it is one of the most complex kind of knots. The solution or the solutioner, I know that's not a word, but you get the gist, or the person who is supposed to solve my problems, they have fallen in love with the problem. They are enjoying the problem. They're enjoying the problem so much, they're enjoying this knot of my life so much that I don't think they are going to solve this or untie it anytime soon. Because these people who are supposed to be experts in solving problems and giving solutions, etc., now he could refer to God or he could refer to his beloved. Both have powers to solve his problem. One actually does. The beloved, well, he has given her the power to be the problem and the solution for him. So, whoever he's referring to, he's saying these people are not showing the keenness and the focus they should in terms of solving my problem, because every day they probably get knots which are solved by them in a jiffy, and hence there is no challenge for them. But here comes the knot of Ghalib's life, and suddenly their adrenaline is rushing. They are challenged, they are alert, and they are just enjoying the complexity of this knot. There is so much in it. It's not an easy one to untie or unravel. And hence, Ghalib says, I think they're liking it. They're liking the complexity of the knot, and that's why, by extension, I don't see them solving this and doing away with it, so to speak, anytime soon. So basically, my problems will stay. The ones who are supposed to solve them, the ones who can solve them, seem to be enjoying the problems too much to want to solve them. Moving on to the next couplet. Sorry. hawa-e-sair-e-gul, aaina-e-be-mehri-e-qatil. So the translation approximately would be a stroll in the garden with breeze blowing is actually reflection of the unkindness of her heart. Second line, कि अंदाज़े बखू ग्लतीदन-ए-बिस्मिल पसंद आया. The style of the wounded covered in their own blood, squirming in their own blood, is something she enjoyed. I agree. Right now, it might not be making sense. But let's get into the impression. So, in the first line, just like the first couplet, right, where he used a very pious religious act of rotating prayer beads and then goes ahead and contrasts it with the cruelty of an act of holding the hearts of her lovers in the palm of her hand and going through them one by one, enjoying it, making a game out of it, right? Something similar in this couplet, where a walk in the garden, where a breeze is flowing, is compared to. So Ghalib is saying, my beloved is roaming in the garden, and there's a breeze which is making the flowers sway side to side, right? A very typical garden scene. And Ghalib is saying this is a reflection of her unkindness. Because, because to her, to her, these red blossoming flowers, which are swaying side to side in the breeze, are coming across as wounded lovers, covered in their blood, writhing and squirming side to side. That's what she's seeing and enjoying. One would say, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, so it does make sense when you start thinking why. Why would Ghalib compare a act of such beauty and innocence like taking a walk in the garden to something so cruel, wherein you are enjoying watching your lovers squirm in their own blood side to side? So one has to keep in mind this is a beloved that has ignored Ghalib and his love and his loyalty and his devotion. This is a beloved who has given only one thing to Ghalib, and that is unrequited love and the associated pain, grief, disillusionment, disenchantment. So, over time, after falling in love with her, Ghalib has probably gotten a different point of view, developed a different point of view after seeing her reactions to him, seeing the nonchalance, seeing the insensitivity, seeing the careless attitude towards the deep emotions, the deep, intense emotions he feels for her. And the beauty of the ghazal is that this is not personal. Ghalib nowhere in any way indicates as if he perceives this as a personal vendetta the beloved has against him. No, he generalizes it. He generalizes it in all couplets. He is part of a collective of all her lovers. So it's not as if she's doing this to Ghalib. This is her modus operandi. This is how she operates. This is how she treats all her lovers. So in the Subaha, there are 100 hearts. In the garden, there are 100 lovers, wounded, squirming in their blood. So Ghalib in a very matter of fact way, is capturing her usual attitude towards people who love her so deeply. And that is where Ghalib is identifying this cruel streak. Now, cruelty is hurting someone, wounding someone, but then going back to the crime scene to gloat on your handiwork, to enjoy watching the damage you have done, that is a different level of cruelty. That is sadistic. That is narcissistic. And and Ghalib believes that she, in her euphoria of the power she holds over her lovers, has has crossed the crossed the line, and there is to Ghalib there is a very evident cruelty, unkindness uh, about her that cannot be hidden. Though Ghalib details how innocent on the surface her doings might look, her actions might look. They might look beautiful, they might look innocent, they might look devotional, they might look pure. But under the surface of it, these actions are driven by this almost narcissistic streak of knowing that she is leaving 100 hearts in her wake, wounded, bleeding, conquered, captured, broken. And she takes the time and effort to turn around or come back and have a look, have a look, and enjoy what she sees in terms of the destruction she leaves in her wake. So, and knowing Ghalib, like I said, he nowhere in the Ghazal is is holding a grudge against her, blaming her, or saying something nasty to her. He is just going step by step, matter of fact manner, just detailing what she is doing and why she is doing it. And though it might seem like this, it is actually this. And this is how she operates. And despite all this, in the background, the love remains. His love for her remains. This is just acknowledgement of some facets of her personality which were probably not evident when she was a stranger to him. And these aspects have only become evident once he has fallen in love with her and put himself in a position where he's at the receiving end, only to realize not much comes from her in terms of goodness and warmth and kindness. What comes from her is actually, when deciphered and decoded, almost cruel and unkind. And that is the beauty of Ghalib, where he will address the dichotomy of a situation so well and he will draw contrasts which are so sharp that they will just make you yeah, they will just make you wonder how how can this be possible? How can the pendulum swing so far away from where it was? But it does. With Ghalib, it does. So the sharp contrasts, the examples he has picked up is just amazing in this ghazal. And all this while he continues to love her. He continues to love her. Just accepting, decoding, understanding her, her nuances, her various personalities, if you may. Very interesting. Well, that brings us to the end of this ghazal. I hope you enjoyed the impressions. I look forward to getting into ghazal 9 next time, which is उसका मतला है दहर में नक्शे वफा वजाए तसल्ली ना हुआ हाय ये वो लफ्ज़ कि शर्मिंदाए मायने ना हुआ. This is also a good one. It's a good one. We will have fun with it. Okay, everyone, I will go ahead and close the episode for today. Love and light to all of you. Thanks for watching.